You are now rolling with the More Over 4 podcast with J.T. Pender and DJ Clinton Tarantino. Presented by... We're back with the More Over 4 podcast. I'm J.T. Pender.
And this is Clinton Tarantino.
What's good, Clinton? How you doing today?
Doing good.
Yeah.
Another fine Tuesday evening here in San Diego. Just getting through all the crazy weather here.
Did you guys get flooded?
We didn't get flooded, luckily, but we did get a tornado warning.
Yeah.
Here in sunny San Diego.
Some apocalyptic warnings on the TV here in San Diego. And it's also, our news has gone global because, you know, I'm working with the team in France and they were super concerned about if we still had our house or not. But luckily we lucked out too and didn't have any flooding in our place this year. That was last year. So, but now it's good to be back. Good to be back in the studio with you, man. Good to be here talking about some of the things that we've predicted on a monthly basis with Universal Music Group.
Right. A reoccurring theme.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it seems like we just want the smoke, but we don't. It's just there's a lot of smoke going on right now with UMG. Mm-hmm. I think everybody heard about the big news with UMG pulling their catalog off of TikTok.
That's been a big thing over the last probably couple weeks.
Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We'll dig into that. UMG basically gave TikTok 30 days grace period to pull their entire catalog, which includes artists like Taylor Swift, Bad Bunny, and hundreds and hundreds of other major
Billie
artists.
Eilish.
Billie Eilish.
Everybody.
I mean, it is probably the biggest industry news that's happened within the last 10 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a big deal. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. It does parallel what we had already talked about with the UMG's move and their stance with Lucian Grange on AI music and their mission to basically eliminate it from the platforms. Their next project with Deezer, that is basically a streaming platform in itself that will be artist-centric. No word yet on if that's going to be a new platform, but as we talked on the old episode, there's a lot of different ramifications and a lot of different things that can happen with that partnership between them. So now here we are a month later, and we're talking about them pulling their catalog from TikTok, all in the name of protecting the artist, of course.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah, because, it's not about their money. It's about their artists' money.
Right. It's all about protecting Taylor Swift and all of their artists. So we'll dig into that. On the plugins today, we're going to take a look at ADSR Sample Manager, which is a free sample library manager from ADSR, similar to XO.
Yeah, XLNXO, or I think there's another one by Algonauts Atlas. That's another drum sampler.
Also Waves has their
sample manager. The one from XLNXO and Algonauts Atlas, those are actual drum samplers, and these are more just. This one in specific it's more of an organizational tool.
It's a free tool from ADSR, and what it will allow you to do is you're going to drag and drop your sample, your entire library, your files into this thing, and it tags them and organizes them. It's a big deal for me right now because I realize now moving into Battery 4 and trying to make new sounds and create new kits that I had all these folders all over the place. And there was no way for me to find all of my samples in one place. So I used to laugh at things like this and applications like this, but it's been very useful. So we're going to take a look at that today. And also we have, what else do we have?
Some news in the DJ world, the new announcement of Pioneer's new brand.
Alpha Theta.
Pioneer
rebranded themselves. Okay, this is no longer the era of Warren G. Pioneer speakers bumping. It's Alpha Theta now. Alpha Theta is the brand.
But it's not the entire Pioneer brand. It's only their DJ division. So
only their DJ division, but still, it's funny to think that Alpha Theta speakers bumping.
Yeah,
well, as I smoke on a pound.
And they've released the gear with their announcement. So now we could certainly take a look at that too.
So here we have an article from Billboard: Universal Music's war on TikTok, behind the battle plan. Maybe we got some insider info here. Like we were saying before, Universal was unable to negotiate the terms with TikTok or ByteDance, who owns TikTok. So now they're pulling their entire catalog down from the platform. It was kind of predictable if two guys like us can sit here and go, oh, what does the future hold for UMG if they're making all these moves against AI, if they're taking away noise music from Spotify and causing Spotify to change all these policies in their favor. They have a lot of leverage. Mm-hmm. I think UMG may have something like 30% plus of the world's music. So let that sink in for a minute. Like one company, all the artists in the world, everything that's selling, UMG has over 30% of the market share of that. That's a lot of leverage for one company to have on these streaming platforms.
Essentially anybody you hear on the radio and popular music.
We're not just talking about right now. We like to drop, Harry Styles or Taylor Swift or whoever right now, but this is also going back. They have catalogs that go back to the 50s, 60s, to the early recordings. So it's a lot of leverage. That leverage has always been there, and the streaming platforms have catered to it. Obviously, with all of that leverage, it's no question that Spotify had to do some negotiations with them as well, which is probably why we're seeing some of the new policies that they're putting in place that are still becoming solid, like charging artists $10 fees for artificial streaming, these type of things. Noise tracks getting less royalties, the 1,000 stream minimum that we've talked about, which we'll cover again, we'll go back on a future episode. But there's definitely major changes for independent artists right now. This is a radical time for us because up until recently, you would go through a distributor, everything you put on, if it was good, and if the distributor didn't think it was suspicious or anything, they would put it online and you'd see where it went, and you'd go and you'd try to promote it and see what you can do. And whatever happened from that, it either worked or it didn't. And now, even if things are working, if you're not sure, say you get a playlisting service, right? And that service isn't legit, and you don't know until it's too late, you could be charged for this, or it could be considered a noise tracks. We don't know what the future holds. There's so many variables, but Universal pulling their catalog from TikTok all fits into this puzzle, right? So what does that mean for independent artists?
I think that it's an amazing time to be an independent artist because it gives you a lot of leverage to be able to utilize TikTok like UMG has.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is there, and TikTok has a lot of new programs that artists should definitely look into for if you're creating new content. There's rewards that you can get, and we were just looking at that the other day. But if UMG is pulling its catalog, which was its leverage, we have to realize that now TikTok does logically need more content, and that can be used. And so this is, I agree with you, this could be a really good opportunity for independent musicians.
Yes. It's a great timing. We'll see how it plays out for independent musicians. It's hard to say how everything's going to work out, but they're going to need content to fill that gap.
What do you think about the idea that they pulled the entire catalog to protect the rights and fair pay for their artists?
What I've been reading is that TikTok defended themselves and said that they had actual agreements and arrangements with artists that are promoted heavily on their platform.
Right.
So I think a lot of these people that are mentioned by name are taken care of by TikTok with blanket, arrangements.
Right.
And UMG wants their hand in, the pot.
In everything, because they're already in everything. And yes. So let's take a look at the article. There was a few key points here. It was on January 30th, the day before UMG's latest deal with TikTok lapsed. The company announced in an open letter that we must call timeout on TikTok and begin removing its recorded music from the platform. And after this 30-day grace period that they have to take down anything that's managed by UMG. Obviously, there'd be legal repercussions for TikTok if that doesn't happen. As for TikTok's statement, Let's see. So far there's been some support for UMG for other companies in the music business. Go figure. It's probably not companies are related to independent musicians. And 2 other major labels declined to comment. It's unlikely they will for antitrust reasons. That's another issue that comes up, obviously, in this business. We talked about UMG having a market share. Well, the other crazy stat is there's like 3 record labels that have basically 85% of the world's music. So in my opinion, which probably doesn't count for shit in the business, but in my opinion, that the 85% right there in any other industry would start causing antitrust issues because the leverage is so strong. 3 companies controlling intellectual property, 85%. It's a massive market share. And I don't think as independent musicians, because what we all want to do is produce music, make music. We don't like to think about these staggering, depressing numbers, and now more than ever, a lot of us aren't trying to sell out and go with a major label. There's so many tools out there to get your music promoted and the creative freedom of being able to make your music the way you want. But if you look at the business is still structured the same way. We're still looking at where 3 out of every 4 titles or plus that is from 3 different companies that have a huge umbrella of record labels. So this is a big deal. It's not just one company with Universal. It's a ton of sub labels. I mean, there's a whole entire list on Wiki we could look at for sub labels that are under UMG, and it is thousands of artists. Let's take a look at this Wikipedia article here. This right here, and remember we talked about it's not just now. It's not just the hot track now. This is all of their catalog. Yep. This right here, if you look at the list of Universal Music Group artists here.
Immediately you see 2 Chainz.
Oh yeah.
Four Strings, the 1975.
Blink 182, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Bon Jovi, Ashanti. I mean, we're not even through the B's yet.
Rick Astley.
Rick Astley, yeah. Can't even get Rickrolled anymore without on TikTok. You can't let that sink in. You can't. I know. Listen, Rickrolling was obviously a fad of the past, but imagine it never existing on any platform because they pulled their catalog. That's crazy to think.
Isn't that wild?
That's wild, man. Backstreet Boys, Erykah Badu. I mean, we haven't even made it through the B's yet.
Black Sabbath,
yeah. So I think we get the point that this is a huge deal. It's big news. And if you're an indie musician, producer, publishing company, this is something to pay attention to. And also there's opportunities here. Look into it. Look into TikTok.
Keep your eyes peeled for what others are doing and what's working for them right now, because this might be a good time to start leveraging the platform.
Yeah, look at what's missing, fill in the gaps, take a closer look at getting your catalog onto TikTok or your new music on it.
It's going to be an interesting time seeing everything go down.
You know, this Billboard article is saying the more likely scenario is that UMG and TikTok will reach an agreement, perhaps one that both will grumble about but accept. That's a huge possibility. I hope that does happen just for the listeners, because there's a lot of great music out there that's being pulled from TikTok. I mean, the artists on major labels are still artists. They still need a paycheck and they still want their music to stay active out there. But the other scenario on this is that even if they do reach an agreement, we know that UMG, we talked about the last episode that Lucian Grange is very adamant about wiping out what they call noise tracks, what they call garbage trash tracks, and AI. TikTok is working on putting together an AI music generator specifically for their platform right now, which is in the works. And there's been kind of ramblings about that. So all of this dynamic is playing into the AI, and our last episode talking about AI too. So we have this issue with pulling real music. We have a company that is going to be pushing their own maybe AI music generative engines.
I think that Facebook already has some kind of AI music generation too.
Facebook does, Google does. Yeah, so this still plays into AI.
And then this article had some more details on it.
Oh yeah, it's saying that some of those songs aren't even appearing in the search results already.
Right, and they have a prompt at the bottom noting that the sound was removed due to copyright restrictions.
Wow, that is crazy. Crazy times.
Yep.
All right, Clinton, as a DJ, you mentioned Alpha Theta Pioneer Rebrand, and there's been some things trending with that. What's going on with that?
So Pioneer announced that Alpha Theta was going to be like this big brand change. They didn't really announce it as a new line, but that kind of ended up being what they ended up launching.
This is just the DJ gear division of Pioneer that's rebranded and moving to Alpha
Correct.
Theta.
And it's not all of Pioneer. It's only the DJ division. And what they're doing with this, from at least what I'm understanding now, is this is a new brand line. This is their turntables and then their speakers.
Basically, we're talking Pioneer, who had the CDJs, which were a huge deal because that was
their industry standard equipment for DJs. So, I mean, you go to any big festival, that's all everybody uses because that's just house gear.
I'm going to be honest with you. Alpha Theta sounds like a ridiculous rebrand, and it sounds similar to when Crello rebranded the Vista Create. It's like that weird thing where you just can't get used to it. What is the consensus on the new brand name?
The consensus is a lot of flack, and a lot of people say to focus your attention elsewhere, other than rebranding and telling everybody what their values are. Now with products launching as Alpha Theta, we've created a brand that will propel us into the future while maintaining the quality and innovation you've come to expect from us. The name Alpha Theta directly refers to the brainwave frequencies achieved in optimal performance. So this is their branding, and they think that this gear is going to align with your brainwaves and create the ultimate level of performance.
It's amazing that just the rebrand represents that.
And not only that, they embrace diversity and inclusion and celebrate playfulness of DJing and producing music. They said they look forward to growing alongside us and the community who are connected by a passion for music and its culture.
There you have it. Alpha Theta, the new Pioneer brand.
They're the new frat brand.
The new frat brand. You were saying there's a few. What is the consensus? I saw some memes that were circulating on the.
There's certainly some memes. Some people were calling it Fisher Price.
That's a news. What is that?
That's
new
one
DJ.
of the I think it's the Omnis Duo.
Oh, okay.
OMNIS.
That's one of the new, that does look like something.
Omnis Duo. And yeah, my thoughts on it, it's not breaking any boundaries. It looks like a toy. It does look like something that you would give your child.
You're going to roll up into the club with that. And I guess it looks better than just pulling out your iPhone, I guess.
Yeah. But, I mean, some people do DJ on iPhones too. And yeah.
I'm pretty sure my son literally has like a player that looks just like that, except for there's no screen on it.
Probably does. I mean, it
optimizes the Alpha Theta brainwaves for creativity. It's in
partnership with Fisher Price. What was kind of breaking ground with this whole announcement was that they have made this low latency Bluetooth tech to be able to stream your music to these waterproof speakers.
Got it.
So, I mean, it'd be great for like boat and pool parties or whatever, or maybe on the beach, and then they said that you can connect up to like 8 of these PA speakers. So, it is kind of a cool concept, and I'm not sure if they're powered or not. They're obviously powered.
Were they battery? It looks like they're
right. Do they have a battery? I think that they might
wow.
There's the price tag.
Right. $900 for an 8-inch portable DJ speaker.
And you can buy 8 of them and connect them all together.
That's why it's weighed. So
it's going to be $8,000.
That's a single speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, my Alpha Theta brainwaves they just got hit hard right here, man. Man, I'm just saying. Like,
I highly doubt we're gonna see top level DJs playing on these Alpha Theta Omnis Duos.
I don't know, but you have to be a top level DJ to have 8 of those. I mean, you can't do your cousin's wedding with 8 of those and still walk away without missing a car payment.
Yeah. $8,000.
I wasn't expecting to see that.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's we'll see where it goes, I guess.
I'd say stick to the CDJs. They work.
Man, you got that new Alpha Theta? You got that new Alpha Theta mixer. Oh man, that's dope. I just don't.
You feeling that optimal performance?
Yeah, it's a weird rebrand, but
where's the Omnis Duo? How much? $1,500 for the Fisher Price toy. I'd rather go for the CDJ 3000s.
Yeah, I might go with the old CDJ.
And then the other thing that I see on that is that it's only got 2 channels.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, shoot. I hope that they're going to release a 4-channel one. Geez, for $1,500?
I don't know. Well, I guess you can't knock it till you try it. We're probably not providing the proper publicity for a rebrand, but
no,
I've learned something. So thank you for, because I don't DJ and I don't use their products for production. So I've learned this.
I think that Pioneer could be using their effort elsewhere.
So there'll be a generation that doesn't know what Warren G's talking about when he says Pioneer speakers bumping, but it's all right. We're probably already there anyways. There's some pretty good memes out there. I think this is kind of sums up what we're seeing, right?
She was a Pioneer DJ girl. He was an Alpha Theta boy.
Yeah.
Honestly, bro, I think Alpha Theta is great rebrand. Frats, Pioneer, DJing, either way. So it's only right they show us the respect we deserve. Haha. Anyways, have you heard of John Summit?
Well, I mean, in all fairness, we did look up memes, but I have seen a lot on the socials. So
I think a lot of people have had a lot of fun with it in the DJ community.
All right. So we've gotten through some of the bigger business moves. We've talked about some rebranding. Let's take a look at the ADSR sample manager. Let's get into some production here. What do you use when you're producing your music, your beats? Are you a drag and drop sample user? Do you use a sampler itself? Do you use a VST? How do you usually, if you lay down your beats, what do you usually do, Clinton?
I use a sampler and I use samples, but I just use them out of my main library structured in the DAW typically. So I don't typically use a sample manager as these are like kind of newer, innovative tools.
So you use Ableton, right? And you're dragging out of the library in Ableton into your track.
Correct.
Format them. Yeah. I use Logic here in the studio, and I usually use Battery 4 as the sampler. And Battery 4 has a really good structure for finding samples in it. But when you want to import your own samples, that's where it gets kind of sketchy with both Logic and Battery 4. So that's where these sample managers come in. And the first one I ran across, I was actually looking at XLN's XO sample manager. And that led me to Wave's sample manager. And then that led me to a review I found online about ADSR Sample Manager. And I have used some of their plugins before because they have some really good sales. And I'm, you know how it is, the plugin addiction. And so this being free was obviously a huge deal because I'm like, I know I need something because I have, 200 drum machines and I can't go through every single folder and find that proper kick. And then also seeing that it searches your library and tags them, which is a big feature too. So let's just go over the features, some of the biggest features real quick. And this newest version was updated on Apple for silicone in case anybody wants to know. But the biggest, one of the biggest features, and why would ADSR release something like this for free? I think people are asking, because when I first saw it, I was like, there's got to be a catch. But they have their own libraries that you can import into them too. So if you buy one of their sample libraries, it's just streamlined. You can do it all within the sample manager, bring it in. That's kind of their motivation to put it out. And I think it's a brilliant business move there.
Integrate their packs with it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I'm using this now. I've used it on 2 projects. The biggest features that I like is that for one shots, obviously things like BPM don't matter as much, but this thing can organize all of your one shots, your loops, find the BPMs, find the keys, and you can use it as a VST or, audio unit inside of your DAW.
I like the fact that it's also standalone too.
Right. And you can use it as a standalone. So if you're just looking at samples, you don't have to be in your DAW to do that. You can preview those samples. You can do basic edits to these samples. And like I said, it tags them It's has Ableton Link in it. But when you search, instead of just looking for a snare and going through all your folder, something like this allows you to just hit snare, and it's already searched and cataloged all your snares, and now you can go through them.
1,000 snares, and then
right.
Still looking for one all night.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But hopefully it gives it a little bit more flavor and aesthetic in the categorization, so you're able to group those snares a little bit tighter.
Right. The number one thing for me, with all these tools now that we have, I've been making music since I was 15. So a long time. I mean, I've been making music for 30 years now. So I've seen the technology go from where my first computer was like a basic, like I had 2 VS2 plugins. I had to pull all the other samples off into sound fonts or whatever. And you just did the most you could with 16 different sounds. And honestly, sometimes I miss that because you get to know your system and what you can do so well. So you're just pushing the limits of that system. You know where everything's at. You know where this sound is that you need, and you get a style. Now with this new technology, with everything we have, with the thousands of plugins, like literally they're getting pushed every time you scroll through Instagram, or if you're looking for something specific, like say Omnisphere alone, it's got a pretty good manager in it. It has thousands of sounds. So I might go to Omnisphere, but sometimes I might just reach for whatever in a session. The biggest hurdle nowadays is not, do I have enough sounds to make a song? It's what sound am I going to use, and where am I going to find that sound? And when it comes to drum samples, it's a completely different thing because say within Battery, your main goal here is to pull in any sample you can and work with it. So let me pull open Battery so I can give an example here. This is a kit. Ironically, this is a kit that made with my son in here, just to go over the basics of beat production. But you can hear here that I'm going to solo some of these. So some of these are just kits, samples that are within Battery, and you just drag them from the left side here. This is the basic management within Battery. So if I typed in 808, everything that's 808 pops into it. You drag it in, and now that, the cymbals here, it's not soloed yet, but so, okay, so that's the idea here for a sampler. These samples all match up with the keyboard we have in here. And so it's kind of integrated, right? Now, the problem is that not only do I have these samples that are in this Battery library, which are structured in kits, which is beautiful, but I also have tons and tons of samples all over my hard drive, and different kits that are in these folders. And there's so many folders. And you go into these folders, you got loop packs, you got all this stuff. You guys know how it is. You buy all these packs, they sit in a folder, and you try to reach for them, to make a beat. And sometimes you're spending more time looking for that specific drum machine or that specific sound, but you get lost in the sea of samples. So all these sample managers, their aim is to alleviate that a little bit. And I think ADSR's sample manager does a good job. All right, so let's open up the ADSR sample manager. Right now, it's a plugin that's inside of Logic. All right, so you click add to library, it pops up, and in this case, I have a folder called drum samples in my documents folder on the iCloud. In my Finder here, if I was looking for it in Finder, you'd see here it's just a folder with just tons and tons of different samples, and each folder has more inside of it. So if I looked at here, if I went to drum machines, there's 50, 100 drum machines here with different samples inside of them. And the idea is, and then that obviously nest into more and more samples. The more you dig, the more samples you find. So what ADSR Sample Manager does is it allows me to add that to the library, and then it will go in and it will catalog all these samples. It will search and it will start tagging them itself. So, and it does pretty good. If you look at like this, it says radio and static. It has drums kick, kit, radios, and static. And you see in here I have it searched for kick. Okay. And so it has all these kicks here that you can go through. And it even has like, it finds a genre because it says, oh, this says crunk in the kit. So it puts it in the tag. So it's a way for you to organize all of your samples and go through and find something. So obviously now there's these new plugins too, where you can like synth the GPT and stuff, where you can find sounds this way. Drum samples and one shots are a little different depending on your workflow. So something like this, I feel like is invaluable in being able to find it. Now I don't need to go through 40 different folders to find the kick in there. It just takes it all, finds it, tags it, and all the information is there.
But then also the tagging system, I mean, from what I've noticed, it varies. Some get really good descriptive tags whenever it imports, and some of them get, minimal. Some of them don't get labeled at all. Right. But I think they all get labeled with the basic element that they are.
Exactly. Yeah, you can look in some of these, there's like shakers showing up in here. It's not I just removed it, and it's going to show like every single thing in here under drums, and you can see it's found. How many samples did it find in this alone? I think doesn't really have a total, does it? There's thousands of samples. I think 2,600 samples in here. So let's give an example here.
Let's look up by some tag, maybe like an aesthetic tag that they have, like metal.
Okay, let's look up. Let's look up metal.
Now, I'm curious to what they use to describe this, or if they're using the sample pack itself,
right,
to help describe these things.
So it looks like it's using the name,
yeah,
but it's also finding it somehow.
Yeah.
So all these do have metal in them. Some of it's based off of the audio, and some of it is based off of the file name. Let's look at the workflow here. So here's battery, and you can see I have 2 kicks here. Let's say I want to replace that kick. Here's another great thing about this, which amazes me, being an old school head here in terms of production. Some of our options, you can find whatever kit you want. And if you do find that, you can just drag it into your directly into battery.
Yeah,
that's amazing to me, because it treats it like it's a file manager, or like it's Finder, or if it's a normal folder, but it's not. So you're dragging within your DAW without leaving, and now this sample's in here in battery.
It's pretty slick for what this tool does for free, and what it offers it's a very good tool. I mean, it's certainly worth that free expense.
Yeah, and some of the other features, obviously, it has tags. You can sort it by tag. So like here's dirty. There's a tag here for dirty. Just because I had a bunch of kits that were dirty, this is actually a huge kit that I made. And it tagged it automatically based off of it, but it knows musical terms. So you hear drum machine here, and it's the tagging features. Yeah, just from the source material is already worth it in itself. Right.
And then obviously you could custom add to any of these that are lacking something, Absolutely. You can custom tag it. You can play them through it. So you can use it like it's kind of a sampler in a way. So you can preview these, and you can also do these basic edits down here. Oh, cool.
Yeah, so you can edit this, because sometimes in samples you'll get like where it's not on the 0 point, it has a snap in it, or you need to fade it out, or you need to do something. You can edit these and then save them either onto your hard drive, or you can render them as a new sample that goes directly into the browser. I'm not going to go too deep into that type of stuff, but it is an option here. You can see how it has a random. You can randomize and look at different kits here. Let's see if I go to something bigger. Let me see. Just go in the library, kick.
Yeah. So this is a great resource for, especially for people that are starting out in production, especially if you don't have that many samples and you want to start like a better organization system to keep your workflow moving faster and moving forward. I mean, this is the ultimate, Yeah,
if you have if you're trying to, like I said, was paralleling, we were talking about knowing where to reach for. You can take these, and now if I like something specific here, these are samples from Street Fighter that are in there somehow. I get these like 8-bit samples. That's funny. But
that's great.
You can take these and you can add them to your favorites or add them to a new collection. So you can say add a new collection and
E-Honda.
E-Honda, that's funny. So so you could add these to your own collections. Here's bases. So I could build a collection based off of this, or I can just go find the one I'm looking for, drag it right into my sampler and work with it. And
it's a very nice tool. I think that there's so this one isn't quite a drum sampler. I mean, but it has sampler features.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we were talking about like EXO and Algonauts, Atlas. Those will be some maybe to try in the future.
All right, so you can see here, I was adding things to the collection. Here's where on this collection, this favorites and collection screen, there's it's completely random, the E-Honda sample.
Street Fighter sample.
But you could build a kit. Like this is something where it's like, oh, I like these samples. And you can build a kit in here and name your kit. And so something you can remember, or you could put a bunch of different kicks together or whatever. And put them in, so you can go to these. And now if you're building your kit in your sampler, like this is a specific kit of mine, I have different kits, it's pretty easy to swap out, any of the samples just by dragging them off of that after you find them. So definitely a useful tool for this.
And then did they also offer like a store inside here or something?
Yes, absolutely. So if you look here, there's the ADSR store, and you can look for the loops or samples or shots that you want in here and buy them.
Cool.
And add them right to your library, and it will copy them to your hard drive as if it's part of your own library. So I think you can even get a preview here. So these are like the preview, and then you get the full pack, and you can get the extra content. So,
can't beat that. No, that's a great free score.
Yeah, it's free. I mean, I personally started using it 2 weeks ago in the workflow. It's getting better and better. For finding samples. Haven't done a lot with the collections yet, but definitely would recommend taking a look at this ADSR sample manager if you have a lot of samples and you want something that's simple. Even if you're using a different sample manager, try this one out. You got nothing to lose. It may work better for the way that you lay out mentally when you're producing. It doesn't have the bells and whistles as some of the other ones, like EXO has the galaxy looking heat map where you can drag through them, but it is a very structured sample manager.
It's going to make your workflow more efficient, bottom line.
Absolutely. Cable Guys just hooked us up with a new license for
Shaperbox version 3 update, I believe. We featured it last time earlier on in our podcast shows.
I think it was episode 2.
We did a good demo on it. Overall, really loved it, and we've been using it before and after all this. We touched base with those guys, and we got a good response from them, and they were nice enough to offer us some licenses to check out this new update. So we're really psyched to get in there and demo it.
Yeah, thanks guys for providing that. We're really excited to check out version 3. Version 2 has a lot of features. Version 3 is stacked even more.
Yeah.
And a great team there that is developing a really good piece of software. So we're coming in with our bias, but we do want to take a look at it. So we'll play with that on a future episode coming up. And we're going to look more at what's changing in the landscape. This UMG thing is not going to stop here. And Spotify, the changes in policies, there's more coming up for the end of this quarter for us independent musicians. So we'll be keeping an eye on that.
Yep.
Thank you for watching or listening, and we'll see you next time.
Out.
Peace.